Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So, been trying to gather information all morning. I have good people like Cheesy, Shanny, feeding me some intel, so we can try and get a handle on this. I think last night was the tone was intentional. It was a time to care for the humanity and the people. And what the hell is going on there? I think today we can. I'm comfortable enough getting more into how the hell we got here, because I think that's important as well. So, um, we're gonna go over some of the new things. Even right now, still, Tel Aviv is getting bombarded, completely bombarded with missiles. I'll bring up the latest alert from 4 minutes ago. So this is the missile alert from 4 minutes ago in Israel. This is Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, obviously here. So they're still getting bombarded, still getting completely bombarded. So, hey Scad, good morning. Catch me up on the Israel attack. Been trying to finish 4 streams from last night. Yeah, I streamed for a bit too last night, but Generals, good morning. Josh Chandler, what's up, buddy? Spacebar, what's up, man? There are good threads of videos on Twitter. There's one thing that I made super clear since I started, the gore, the all that kind of stuff. That's just not my thing, and YouTube would probably hate me for it anyways. Like they need another reason. So yeah, I think that that's the concern, that people are just reporting raw, and that's fine, but yeah, I just don't want to accidentally. But so this is a rocket attack outside of Tel Aviv.
Allahu Akbar.
I mean,
Allahu Akbar.
good morning. I mean, this is a unbelievable coordinated effort. You can't tell me it's nothing else. We had over 5,000 at the time of reporting last night at about 3 a.m. Eastern time. And since then, we've had just countless videos of this. We gotta be up to at least 10,000 rockets at this point. That is huge infrastructure. It was not unexpected, and we'll get into it. So, yeah, it was such a coordinated effort, and the amount of equipment going into it is just insane. Like, this was highly coordinated, and I think I have enough information to be pretty confident in the why at this point. So let me see. Sorry, I was previewing that. It has. But it may have just got an update. So yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the 1973 Yom Kippur War. So interesting timing. CNN's got some information out, but I just want to use it for basically the visuals. So some locations where fighting broke out Saturday: Gaza City, Gaza Strip. So it seems like they kind of infiltrated and pushed into Israel. So That's pretty. We'll get into that. Let me catch everybody up, and then I'll get there. I promise. So this is what we're looking at. This is Gaza in the southwest of Israel by the Mediterranean Sea. The fighting has moved all the way up to Tel Aviv, and will very likely start moving east over to Jerusalem, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's the West Bank. So we'll get into that too. The world reacts. Yeah, of course the world reacts, because this is huge news. I wanted to play this video. This was just an absolute leveling of a building. This is allegedly one of the homes of the Hamas leadership. But just watch this. This is mind blowing. Just gone. Just completely annihilated, no question. So then we get into more of the ground fighting. So breaking news: Israeli National Security Council has approved a ground operation to begin in the Gaza Strip with immediate effect. Hezbollah have stated that they will attack Israel and enter the war if Israel goes into Gaza. Iran may also make a move against Israel if they perceive any weakness, and tensions grow and escalate very quickly. So here's just some more footage, and like I said last night, hey, what's up, Murphs? Like I said last night, this is I understand the hatred, I understand the tensions, but this is just barbaric on so many levels. Some of those images and videos that you can see on X are truly hard to watch. So this is the Israeli forces coming back and clearing through. They're just going house to house and killing everyone inside of it. And that's true. That's true. So we're starting to see IDF move in. There were about a dozen. Reports were kind of funky, but there were about a dozen IDF that Israeli Defense Forces that were taken captive or killed or tortured or all of the above. So it was pretty ridiculous. So this is unconfirmed, but if true, it's pretty interesting. So they started moving in on military bases. One of the things that Israel did was started moving out equipment. So this is allegedly, and again, we don't know the authenticity of it. It's too early for some of that, but allegedly the Israeli military moving out F-16s. So they're just driving. They're trying to get them off base as quick as they can because they think it's going to be overrun. And that's not a police department, as previously reported. That is a military base in Israel. So, there's one more that I wanted to find. All right, let's see what Trey has to say. Because he's been a pretty good source so far.
There are a lot of things I can't report right now because of operational security, but things are very, very bad along the Gaza border. Small arms fire, continued rocket fire into southern and central Israel. Soldiers doing what they can to hold lines around here, but it is a very, very bad situation, one of the worst that I've seen between Israel and Gaza. There are a lot of things I can't report.
And that seems to be the key coming out of this. And he's been doing great reporting, so go give him a follow on X. So this seems to be much worse than anything we've seen previously. And obviously this has been a hot spot in the world, a hot spot that's been embroiled in controversy and conflict. But this seems to be taking it a step above what we've seen previously. So the reports are true, and it's going to be bad. I know I'm not trying to limp dick it around, but I just want to get past this stuff, and then we'll get into what I think. So
Massive barrages of rocket fire right now into southern and central Israel. Air raid sirens are sounding across much of this country. You can hear those explosions. This war is escalating each and every minute.
So that's as of 9 minutes ago. I haven't heard any updates on casualties or anything like that. Air raid sirens, Tel Aviv, people heading for shelters. Latest rocket barrage from Gaza is targeting the central part of Israel. And that's the one we just watched. So, hey, no worries. They are using extremely cheap and low tech equipment to try and get there. So no, there's no coincidences in a lot of this. So let's get into that. Hey, no problem, HT. Biden administration raised concerns Palestinian aid would boost Hamas, and it went ahead with aid anyways. Internal documents show Biden administration knew there was a high risk Hamas would benefit from U.S. aid. So here's one of those things where we claim that Israel is this great ally and do anything for Israel, and then we fund the other side. We directly fund Hamas to be able to do this. So that's one of the first inconsistencies with everything. The next is, in all fairness, do I think Israel is moral high ground on a lot of this? No. And if you look into what happened last week with Israel, why are we aiding Palestine? Because, just my opinion, we're looking for something to pop off, and we're willing to do anything to get there. So look into this, and I don't think Israel is not to blame for much of this. Of course they're not to blame. Of course they're not, and should not be blamed for women and children dying in the streets, being kidnapped, being all the things that we know happen from there. But they did absolutely provoke this. Last week they had an operation where they treated the individuals incredibly poorly. Yeah, I got a couple more crazy ones that were so you could think that was a preamble to what was going on. We absolutely know for a fact that there seems to be tensions all across the world. That's no surprise. There was a meeting that was never, I can't find a report on it. I know it happened, But there was a silent meeting that took place between Hamas, the Taliban, ISIS, Vladimir Putin, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, Niger, a couple other African countries that I forgot. I'm trying to think who else was there, but this, in my opinion, was a coordinated effort. This was a coordinated effort by the Russian Federation. The Russian Federation is probably behind this and set all this up. If I had to put money on who is behind this portion of it, this offensive portion of it, I would think that would be it. That meeting happened on September 29th in Russia. And I think that this was the Israeli response could have been a preemptive, kind of a preemptive strike. I don't know that for sure. It seemed kind of shitty what Israel did too, if we're being honest. So there's that section of it. Yeah, hang on. Staying away from big gatherings because I'm betting something will happen to drag us into this. Well, I think it already has. That was my concern last night, and I certainly think that is. I think that's what's probably likely going on. And somebody that we know, so Larry Foreman, DUI guy, he's in Tel Aviv for whatever reason. Activated a siren, so we had to run to a bomb shelter. We hear explosions happening outside. Just came across that on X, so I thought I'd pop it up. So I could see Putin doing so, but not the Russian people. They're pro-Israel. I think that's accurate. I think this is government posturing. This is posturing for a major world conflict that's probably coming very quickly. Tease, I'm blaming you directly, sir. So a couple other things that Larry's on vacation for like 5 months. Well, he's making that paper, so he's getting it. So I can't blame the guy. So where do we go from here? We look at other funding opportunities that the United States has done, and one of them that comes up is breaking news: Iran's parliament is chanting "Death to America" as they launch terrorist attacks on Israel and other places across the globe. The U.S. government, through the Biden administration, is technically funding this operation as they just sent $6 billion to Iran. Okay, everybody will say it was Iran's money or whatever. Doesn't matter. This is directly going to fund this attack. We have direct Iranian involvement. And so that's what's going on currently in Iran's Congress. Yeah, it's maybe I'll save that to the end. So we have the United States. Iran's been itching for an excuse to attack the United States, to attack Israel. They've been just wanting that. And there's a lot of this regionally where everybody wants a piece of somebody else, and we've been at a relative state of peace for so long that it was only a matter of time before things started really exploding. And I think this is our flashpoint that set off the powder. Personally, sorry, I'm just looking at the flight boards to see what the hell's going on now. So Turkey has drones up over Syria. the Swiss just landed in Israel. We have a C-17 headed to the region. That's headed away. The board has been really quiet. They've been transponders off for the most part, so we haven't been able to see a lot of what's going on. We know, for instance, that there are at least 30 U.S. fighter assets in the region based on just doing this for a long time and knowing what the hell's going on. So there's several assets in the area from the United States. Hungarian military. Another inconsistency, and another thing we saw that was odd, I believe it was 2 days ago, or it could have been yesterday. Iran has been doing that tit for tat tanker seizures for a while now too. Yeah. Yep. So one of the things that me and a couple other guys saw is we saw about 15 countries, all that would be on the, let's say, pro-US side of this conflict. We saw them all land at a military base outside of DC with C-17s, and this morning they've all returned to their respective countries in Europe. So it seemed like they were picking up some equipment. Let's see, we have another one just popped up. So A400 from the UK. This is what we've been getting a lot of. Obviously, that plane didn't just pop up. It's at 20,000 feet. So it didn't just pop up. But it is there now. So when we look at the regional conflict, there seems to be one hell of a divide happening. So being a Jew was told World War III would have something to do with Israel. People in the U.S. feel that they're safe because it doesn't concern us and so far away. We're now up to it in our eyeball, or now in it up to our eyeballs. Yeah, and I think that's the biggest concern is that this does have. So we have a fire right now, and we're pouring accelerant on it actively, and it's coming from multiple areas, and nobody seems to want to stop. So this could get out of control very, very quickly. Exactly. There's still planes hovering over the U.S. Oh, the U.S. border is pretty heavy this morning. Last night it was very interesting. Everything went dark. I brought it up in my coverage last night, but everything went dark. There was one plane up, and it was a Black Hawk helicopter. So obviously we have a ton of military assets over here. Of course it will. There's a Canuck military plane. So we still have the UK coming back in. You wonder if they're coming to pick up something that starts with an N and ends with a clear. C-130. C-17 Globemaster. So there was nothing on the board this morning at all. There was one Black Hawk in California. That's it. But now we have a ton of P8s. There's 7.3s. We have some E6. E6 is command and control. So airborne command and control. C-130. 7.62. There's an Indian military. See, there's another one of those planes. So this is what was happening. This is what's been happening for the last 2 days. Planes fly into the DC area. And we can look, but Oh, that one came out of Dover. But into this general area, this Baltimore, Washington, Delaware, Annapolis area. But that's an Indian military C-17. And they've been flying in, picking something up, and going. So C7 or C5. Even if the U.S. doesn't get involved directly, it absolutely will indirectly via our tax dollars. 100%. I live next to Beale Air Force Base, so I know we'll get increased activity. Yeah. And there was a lot up last night that just wasn't on transponder, wasn't on radar. And we could tell because you could see to those who study end times from a biblical perspective, we'll say this looks like pieces moving into place for the Gog-Magog war from Ezekiel 38, which is centered around Israel. It's a thought. Yeah, we had an AWACS just before it went live, and then it went dark. So it took off transponder and then went dark. So, like just before. Let's see who these new guys are. Yeah. Those are just the connects. We're good. But you see, like that Canadian. Oh, it's back again. We keep seeing a lot of stuff drop off radar. So. Some do, some don't. So. Yeah. It's another C-17. Like, for example, you'll never see fighters up. But we did see an F-35 2 days ago in Arizona, which was really odd. So we have this meeting of regional adversaries. So we have Russia, we have Niger, we have Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon. So this is why Israel's in such a bad place, because its whole neighborhood is just, and this is Israel. It's just a little country, and parts of that are in controlled territory. So, oh, that UK bird is gonna land there or help. We've also got reports that Saudi Arabia has been involved and included in these high level meetings from, let's say, the pro Russia group. So that wouldn't be good either. You know what I learned? The U.S. started Vietnam War, and then the U.S. finished the Vietnam War. I see the U.S. doing the exact thing. Palestine, Israel, who do we defend? Well, I don't even think it's about that anymore, because let's be honest. So, if they wanted to, Israel has the resources, and with the United States' help and other countries' help, Israel could go in, put down this rise up that's happening right now. And yeah, it's going to be bloody in the end. There's going to be numerous amounts of casualties, but it doesn't go any further than that. It's what countries are going to input themselves into this conflict to make it grow. We also see things like Syria. So the U.S. is supposedly out of Syria, but we had to shoot down a Turkish drone, a NATO ally Turkish drone, over Turkey a few days ago, over its own sovereign airspace, to protect our troops in Syria on an op. So spies like us moment when the U.S. infiltrating other countries to attack us with the weapons so they can test our defense? God, I hope not, because our defense isn't probably there. Here's a thought. At 18 years of age, it's mandatory to join the Israeli military. All those people in Tel Aviv and surrounding areas could help fight are now wiped out. Exactly. IF-35 has transponder on because it was sunny outside and we didn't want it getting lost. Yeah, we saw some rain clouds, so we flipped on the transponder so we didn't lose it. UAE was one of the countries that actually flew to the United States to pick up a package the other night. So I think that it probably more our side, but I don't know. Exactly. They are, but they are still a NATO member, and we probably shouldn't have shot down a sovereign aircraft over sovereign airspace. Which also was part of tension and part of an activity that took place a couple days earlier. I understand that, but you get into some touchy territory when you start shooting down Allied aircraft. So, yeah, I mean, we lose either way. So, all right. So we have the Palestinian aid coming from the United States. We have obviously the aid, which was their money. We get it going to Iran. We also have we got to think of a name for the pro-Russian side of things. Because that pro-Russian group, they certainly are coordinating, are meeting, and that's going to be the next step here is, does Iran move in? Does Syria move in? Does Lebanon move in? Do the Saudis move in? Because that could be a shit show if the Saudis decide to jump in. So, is that something where, and at what point do we directly get involved? That's not worth anything anyways. Give it to them. Our money's not worth shit. At what point do we get involved officially? I know we've already sent assets. I know we've always sent money. I know we'll continue to send assets and money. But when do we actually move forward? So I know that it's much more, but the confirmed report from Fox News' SO is at least 40 Israelis killed so far. I think numbers much higher than that, but all right, let's see. Trey had another update. Oh, it's up, Fiery. It'll be Iran and Russia combined together that brings us into it officially. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's my concern with this. That's my absolute concern with this is we're already spread too thin. We don't have the military power, might, or recruitment that we once did. And I think it's incredibly concerning that we're now operating on the ground in Ukraine. We're now operating on the ground potentially in Jerusalem and Israel. And then we're going to be operating. Does that mean that China's going to start moving? We're getting stretched too thin. And I think that's the way, I don't think this is any surprise, but I think that's the way you beat the United States is if you stretch them thin across the world. And we seem to be stretching very thin. There'll come a time where China doesn't go after Taiwan. They're disarming the strongest opponent to potato in chief is helping them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, they're gonna take the. Oh, absolutely. They're gonna try and take the moral high ground and get rid of anything negative. It's the good old spin of let's just call it what it is, propaganda. It's the good old spin of propaganda. We are, for all intents and purposes, without everything but the piece of paper to say we are in a world war at this point. I think that's indisputable. Flashpoints popping up everywhere. So you're going to see hella amounts of propaganda. Like it's part of the way to start or to fight a war. So no, probably none of them will. So, oh, I'm sure. Well, so that's how a lot of our political system lines their pockets, because in order to fight wars, you need defense contractors. Defense contractors kick back to politicians, and the cycle repeats, because the defense contractors need something to use the weaponry. So the politicians give them something to use the weaponry, and then we just go in this happy little circle, and everybody's happy, and plebs die right and left, and nobody seems to give a shit. So Iran, Russia, and Turkey together, yeah. And I think we'll have some others. So yeah, the writing's been on the wall, that's for sure. Like, one of the videos with the truck pulling up with guys in the bed at AKs, and the videographer didn't take cover until they pointed at him. If the dude was armed, he could have lit them up. Perfect vantage. Yeah, but there's a lot more of you on the ground, or a lot more to them than there are you, it seems like. So yeah, and that's always been the play. Spread the US out and destroy it that way. So that's essentially what's happening right now. That's that's the crazy part about it. So yeah, and that's exactly what it is. If Hitler would have kept to one front and done one thing, it would have been a different story. But when you spread it out and you're fighting the Russians and fighting, Europeans, and fighting the Americans, and blah blah blah, it's an excellent way to destroy this country. So yeah, I believe that we've actually been in it for a little bit now, but I think we're going to start see it. Like, and it's never. One of the interesting things about history is there's never a sign. There's never a big sign that says, "Oh, we're in World War II now." And there's debate over where that period of time starts and where you can start moving into it. And I think that it could be debated for the last few months that we might have been in that region, but I think that when we're looking at the history books 100 years, 50 years from now, people that aren't alive now and aren't watching this channel or other channels are going to say this was the point where it started. And I think that's the difference. So let's see what he has to say with this most recent update.
Fighting continues at this hour along the Gaza border. Israel is now striking the center of Gaza City. The Palestine tower in the middle of Gaza was just leveled by the Israelis. We've seen attack helicopters firing from the sky and those jets overhead. The Israeli military says 4 Israeli helicopters were hit by anti-aircraft fire but returned to base. Paramedics are waiting here for more wounded soldiers and civilians to come out, and we've started to see more of a flow of cars as the Israelis recapture some of the territory from Hamas that was controlled along the Gaza border. Still, though, at this hour, at least 22 locations have active fighting. Fighting continues.
So 22 active fighting locations. That's crazy. The U.S. military has a bunch of P-8 Poseidons up in the Black Sea, by the way. P-8 Poseidons are sub-hunters. They search for submarines. And they're real good at their job. Well, yeah, I wish I could find some official reporting on that meeting that took place on the 29th. I know it happened. I just can't find any other information on it. So, because there were some players there. If you look at it, all it is he met with the Wagner group, and there's not even anything. So it was at this there was a conference going on, and it was outside of the conference. So there's a Russian Latin American conference for expansion, which is great. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Can you imagine being in Israel right now? 22 locations. Israel's not that big of a country. Just saying. No, it's affecting everyone in Israel. So, it's pretty insane. So, I hope we don't have to call the other side bricks, because that's our agreement is bricks. But realistically, that's probably what it's going to be, is bricks NATO. But yeah, so that's to wrap it all up. That seems to be kind of where we're at. Where there's been provoking operations from both Israel and from U.S. involvement. There are obviously some countries that are very, very interested in throwing their hat in the ring and helping out. One of the most concerning would be Iran. We also have to think about Asia and the Pacific right now too. We know it kind of flew under the radar, but the North Koreans just stopped their reactors to retrieve some plutonium to build bombs. So that could be very close to happening as well. It's fallen way by the wayside, but I did a video on it about the nuclear plant in Pakistan. And by the way, they covered that up and said it was just sonic booms from jet fighters. Well, why the hell did you turn off your internet then? Just saying. Yeah, I don't think that I don't think that's ever a good idea to. Let me see how I want to say this. I will never advocate for wiping a people off the map, because that's genocide, and genocide is bad. At least that's what they tell me. No, I'm kidding. So I will never support genocide or removing a group of people from this earth. However, we've been trying for a very long time to split Israel, to make compromise, and it's not working. It's just not working. it's going to continue being this way over and over again. So, Iran has been funding Hezbollah for as far as I can remember, so that's another attack that could come from north of Israel, Lebanon. Israel, yeah. Lebanon's already, the kind of pseudo leader of this current coalition asked people to take up arms and start invading Israel from all the region or all the regional. So, I'm just checking to see. So another report that I'm looking at says they've taken over at least 7 towns and villages, and they have taken 2 military bases, taking them over completely from my good buddy. Jeez, thank you, sir. But we know that there's been a concerted effort of people that have wanted to. They've been wanting this fight. They've wanted it for a while. So, I mean, the Palestinians are well organized. They knew this was coming. They've destroyed tanks. They've taken vehicles. There's concerns about them taking aircraft. So, 1973, my grandfather was in Israel. A bomb on the bus went off, and we saw it on the front page of the newspaper. We recognized the bomb went off in front of the market that he shopped at every day. Wow. India's an interesting one. I don't know that I can tell you their stance. They have stopped fighting China over their century-old border dispute about this kind of region. But they also hate Pakistan, and Pakistan realistically is probably going to be on this other side of things. So I think India is a free agent. I think India will stay out of it as long as they possibly can. But I think ultimately India will go to the BRICS side once it gets there. So I guess you're right. Yes, we'll call. We covered that a little bit ago. So $6 billion in Iran, and Iran is in their version of Congress saying death to Israel, death to America. Something about something, wipe Satan off the map, that kind of shit. So it's awesome. Wow. Thank you, Jason. Biden has approved an emergency military aid package to Israel worth $8 billion. So there's your hard-earned tax money already going to another conflict in the Middle East that we probably shouldn't put our nose in, if we're being honest. But so we gave $6 billion to Iran, and we gave $8 billion to Israel. I wish we'd just stay out of shit. I really do. So Israeli Defense Forces soldiers are staging. There's a thought that they're going to be absolutely ruthless in the other direction, which I also don't think is good. I don't think it's good to go too far the other way either. So we'll we'll see. The Israeli Air Force seems to be bombarding the hell out of positions there. So yeah, and that's the terrible part. And there'll be people that have no stake or no interest in it and just want to live their lives. And I think that's the most tragic thing here. So it's 9 p.m. in Israel, so I'd expect more attacks overnight. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think there'll be considerable attacks. They said there'd be another attack 9 p.m. Israel time. Yeah, this is going to be a nonstop thing for a very long time. Unfortunately. I'm gonna check, see if there's So we got another report of huge rocket barrages coming off the Gaza Strip. So they seem to be moving a little bit more north. Hey, what's going on, Grims? Good to see you, buddy. Hell yeah. Oh yeah, fun in the hell out of both sides. Well, I appreciate it, and it's tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to see. It's tough to take in. So, apparently, we're getting more rocket attacks on southern Israel now, as of 12 minutes ago. So, sure, send multi-billions of our tax dollars to other countries whose conflict don't directly concern us, but God forbid we take care of shit that doesn't, or that affects us directly, or people in our own borders. Well, so I think that's another. Oh, hey Daisy. So I think that's another interesting dynamic here, because there seemed to be some ground infiltration by a lot of individuals. There's an Israeli 7073. There seemed to be a great deal of infiltration, which made this a successful operation for Hamas and Hezbollah and all these other organizations. And you wonder if we have the same thing on the south border. We've seen there's reports of people coming in, military-age men, infiltration. So is this being set up for the same thing that happened here? Because that seems to be what happened. It seemed to be that they infiltrated and embedded soldiers as refugees into Israel, and they were able to disrupt and take it over from the inside out. So yeah, our money's worth nothing anymore. So is that what happens here? Is there a consistency? So the whole country of Israel will be wiped out. Oh, and other countries are going to stop. Realize if they can do that to Israel, they can do that to other countries. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think you're going to. Again, I think this leads to World War III, and countries like Russia and such will be on the move trying to secure territory. So they've been playing the long game, and politicians are letting it happen here. Well, that's always been one of my fears with countries like China, is they'll play a 500-year game and not have a problem with it. So, but to anybody who's in Israel, please stay safe. Stay alert. Keep your eyes open, because I think this is going to get even worse. Sure. Hang on, Grams. There you go, Grams. I don't see the 8 billion package to Israel. That's what Jason just said, breaking. So let me see if I can find it in U.S. aid package. France 24 said a funding and aid package that would include military aid of about $8 billion. So, yeah, no problem, man. China is the oldest nation on Earth. They have nothing but time to wait until the right moment. Yeah, and incredibly patient. So, lots of Israelis are from Russia. Wonder where they'll evacuate to. That's an interesting dynamic as well. We see a lot of these integrated populations, and if we start splitting and start pulling different factions apart, then where do these refugees go? Where do these people, the true refugees that are displaced by violence, by the definition, where do they go? Because they're going to be affected as well, and that's not going to be the military fighters or the infiltrators or anything like that. That's going to be women and children. So I did not see it there either, but France 24 was the source on it, reporting it for me. So, you know, the White House is going to drag their feet. They probably poll tested it to see if it was good enough. Oh, they're just hitting everything. They're hitting everything. So, yes, absolutely. Prayers for anybody that's has to deal with senseless violence that harms and kills many people unnecessarily. But all right, y'all. I have to escape for a minute. If there's anything else breaking, I will come back. But I've been trying to keep these at an hour, just not to burn out or make myself lose my mind. So, I'll attempt to come back if there is any new information, and I will keep you guys updated as much as possible. Hope everybody has an awesome Saturday evening. Stay safe, and I will catch you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.